All right, so we're here November 30th, and we want to focus on ending the year strong. And I know a lot of us have been a little sidetracked here lately, myself included, not just from the holidays, but I'm in transition. I'm moving my office and the traveling, the Vegas trip, all that stuff. So I feel like I've been a little derailed here over this November month. Started on the first, and now we're ending it here on the 31st. Uh, Actually, is that even the end of it? Yep, today is the end of the month. So I'm going to just call November kind of a wash for me personally. and anyway, like I said, moving my office too. So that's going to probably go on here for another week. But I am, I have spent the last 2, 3 months really refocusing all of my business stuff, all my little operations, getting rid of stuff that doesn't make sense. I know we've talked about that several times about, cutting things out of your business that don't make sense. And I'm really cutting like a knife this round. cutting a lot of stuff out, cutting out Neva hosting, uh, just a lot of stuff, possibly even web development. And for those of you that have not heard yet, Tommy is moving on to bigger and better things. So
Oh, wow.
he will not be going into 2018 with us. So he's working out the rest of the year, and then he's moving back to Oregon. So he's going to start up a couple of ventures on his own. So we're going to wish him well with that, and hope he has used the ACT system and learned his lessons well. So, but he is a millennial, so he might have to take a couple of hard knocks and learn things the hard way, just like we all did. So, but anyway, like I said, when we get into 2018, I'm going to run full steam. I'm going to run full steam not only on our own marketing, but also making sure that my commitment to you guys is fulfilled and that you guys get up and running in full steam as well. So, one of the things that I want to really kind of push forward here is the private consulting that everyone got with the Apprentice program. Not very many people have taken advantage of that, and you guys have multiple hours of private consulting to help you, wherever you're stuck, if it's stuck on copywriting, technical, anything. And I want you guys really to take advantage of that. I also want to set up possibly a couple of mastermind groups too, so we can get in and have the group collectively take a look at your program and where you are, and offer their insight and comments and all that stuff as well. So I want to really get geared up to be doing that in the new year. And also, we didn't do a second ACT live event this year just because we've been so derailed over here and not able to get our marketing up in place. And again, like I said, that's going to be one of the things that starting up in January, we're going to be going full force on. I've cut back on a lot of my travel plans. I'm not traveling near as much as I have in the last couple of years. I even jumped out of the marketing cruise, so I'm not even doing that this January. So
Wow.
I based on a couple of things, just how busy that we're going to be, and also the fact that two of the main destinations I really wanted to go to got wiped out in hurricanes, so they're not even there anymore. So I'm like, okay, what's the point? I'll skip a year. We'll get back on track with it next year. Uh, all the people on that cruise, I already know them. If I need anybody, I can always reach out to them. I'm in pretty good contact with all of that whole group anyway. So anyway, this week we wanted to focus on things that we've missed over the last couple of weeks, because I know last week we were dark. The first week we actually skipped thinking there was 5 weeks in November, and I had not accounted for Thanksgiving. So we really kind of got a week cut short through here in that process. So I wanted to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, anybody that needs anything either technical related, copywriting related, or traffic. So we're going to kind of open this call up to all of that. So anything, we're pretty much open to anything outside of analysis and strategy. So anything you got for copy, creation, technical, if you're stuck on technical, or traffic. We got Anthony on here for the traffic stuff. So anyway, anybody got questions or want to get the party started here where you're at? Actually, even it might be good just to have some updates on where everybody's at, so I kind of know. I kind of know also from the online stuff, where you guys are at. I know Cheryl's hopped back and rejoined the party there, so I think you're in creation, right, Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm at the I'm just about ready to go into traffic.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm on like 125, page 125.
Okay, awesome. So tell me, of the traffic section, how have you found that? Have you found it smooth, or is it like hazy? How's your experience with the traffic or with the creation portion?
Oh, the creation. I thought it was really good. I still struggle a little bit with what page goes with the workbook and the videos. So I just start back over again because I'd been out of it for a couple weeks. And so I just started back like at probably the 7th video of creation.
Okay.
And I thought it was good though. I really, the more I watch them, the more ideas I get. And I have my WordPress, my Word document open. And so I just type, and some of the things I fill in and I ignore the way the layout of the workbook is, but it really has given me some good ideas on things I probably would have missed.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the creation portion for me is really kind of the most fun of all of it, because that's where you really get to be creative. The analysis, as important as it is and as functional as it is, and you really can't do without it, it is kind of a grind. It's just really grunt work. But when you get into the creation, that's where, you can really let things flow and you can have some fun with it. But think about trying to do the creation without doing the analysis. It would be like you'd be lost. You'd just be guessing. If you didn't know what your competitors were doing, if you didn't have down like even the timeline, that having the timeline in place so you're very clear on your prospect and what their desired outcome is and where they are, and then layering the empathy grid on that of how they feel about where they are and what their concerns are, and figuring out, what's their primary driver. I talked about the primary driver on the 11 o'clock call. And it's really important that you understand what it is, what driver drives your prospect. There's some main primary drivers, and they're all emotional based. It's like fear is a big one. We talked about insurance, like car insurance. The reason people buy car insurance is it's not greed, it's not love, it's not revenge, it's fear. They buy that based on the fear of being in an auto accident and being exposed to losing their assets and getting sued. So car insurance is purely fear-based. There's no other emotion involved in it. It's just, you could focus slightly on the greed if you're talking price, but really price isn't the reason that you buy insurance. You buy insurance from fear. It's that wanting to protect yourself. So you have to really figure out, for whatever it is that you're selling, what is that primary emotional driver? Is it fear? Is it greed? Is it some of them are revenge? Yeah. Revenge can be a primary driver. Some can be vanity. So, I've listed out all the primary emotional drivers that drive sales. So you want to figure out, which one that you're working with, and there's always one that's going to stick out. You might have a couple, like I just mentioned, fear is for insurance, but also it could be slightly greed when it comes to the price, but the primary driver there is fear. You know, like I said, the primary driver is always what is going to drive the purchase, what's going to make them want it. So if you figure that out and you know how your prospect feels about it, you know where they are on the timeline, all that stuff moves forward, and it makes your copywriting so much easier, because you're really just thinking about, how would I talk to someone? When you're focused on the copy portion of this, you really should be thinking about, how would I do this in a conversation in a bar? If I was sitting next to someone and the topic came up, how would I talk to them? And you wouldn't talk to them like most people's marketing, talks to them, going through features and features and features and all about me, and nobody cares about any of that stuff. If somebody sat down next to you at a bar and asked you for help, and you had something that would help them, and they ask you advice about that or whatever, what would you say to them? How would you put that across? That is going to be the most effective way to communicate in your marketing. Otherwise, if you don't do it that way, what happens is you come off sounding like a pushy salesperson. And in marketing, that doesn't work, because especially in online marketing. And the reason that doesn't work is because of the on-off switch. It's so easy to just turn you off. If they don't like what you're saying, they just flip the switch and you're gone. And the switch in this case is the back button. They're gonna, if they're off of your marketing message electronically, you have no control over that. It's not like if we were sitting face to face and I said something and I could tell you were turned off by it, I could change my direction. I could recover. But when you're creating and crafting out a marketing message, you don't have that luxury. So it's really, really important that you figure all this stuff out, and it translates into how you come across. Should be like, we talk about education-based marketing system. I think really all of your marketing should be education-based. It really makes a lot of sense to have it all educational, because you're not trying to push, you're not trying to persuade. A good marketing campaign is allowing the person on the other end to discover why you are the best and only solution for them. And in the process of that, it creates demand and desire. So when it comes to the sales point, you don't even have to do the work on the sales point. I've done this in person several times recently with commercial customers, where I had the presentation down so well that when I got to the end, before I even did any kind of a call to action, they literally did the call to action for me. One of them asked, how do we get started? And one of them asked, how much to get started? And, when I gave them the price, again, when you give the price in person, it's a little bit different. But in person, you can give the price and then you don't say anything. That's kind of the game. And that's basically what I did there. When I gave the price, I didn't say anything. And I was basically looking for their objection. And what I got, instead of getting the rejection, was I got a question. Instead of the objection, I got a question. And it was interesting, because the question in the online space could actually be converted into an objection. And the objection basically was they didn't want to pay all up front. They didn't want to pay the whole amount. So their question was, how can we split the payments up? How much do you need to get started? So for me, I take that information to the online space, and if I was going to create a marketing campaign for that, now I know what to anticipate. I know what their concern is. They don't want to put the big chunk of money out up front. They want to put a deposit down and then have a, almost like a payment plan. So that human interaction, that experience from the market, I talk about that in analysis too. There's always, you want to leverage all of your experience of the market. If you've been working in the market for any time, you've probably been dealing with people, so you already have a lot of these objections or these things that you're going to need to address in your marketing campaign. Because like I said, it's very, very different from a face-to-face where you can take questions, you can accept information, you can change your flow based on what's happening. You can't do that in the online space so much. It's like, if you're doing a webinar or you're doing a sales page, you're doing a video sales letter, you've got to know what all those things are up front. You've got to build those into the presentation. So when you get to the end, there are no objections. There are no questions. Basically, it's just, here's the order button if you'd like to move forward with that. And they should already be well convinced and already have desire created for that. So it's not a hard sale. It's not, you're never going to come off as you're a pushy salesperson. So that's your goal. Good marketing really should make sales superfluous. It should make it not a non-issue. So, and like I said, that's what's happened in my last couple of live in-person presentations. One of them, was how do we get started? And one of them was how much to get started. When can I get started, and how much can I get started for? So that pretty much tells me I had all the components that I needed to create that marketing campaign. So that's kind of what you want to do when you're doing yours. As far as pulling the information from analysis, also do truly incorporate any personal experience that you've had with this market. Like for the market that I deal with, I've been working with them for over 2 decades. So I have an incredible amount of experience as far as that. So I don't have to go back as deep in analysis and dig for stuff that I already know. But one thing you want to be careful of is assuming that you know. If you haven't, experienced that market, or you don't have that much, don't make assumptions and big, jumps and leaps on what you think you know. Just base it on what you actually know. So that's for creation. The other thing really is picking the right mode of delivery for creation. What is your sales vehicle going to be? Is it going to be a video sales letter? Is it going to be a live webinar? Is it going to be, just a long form sales letter? And you might have a situation where you've got a small dollar item, and that's all you're really trying to do. You're just trying to do client acquisition. So when you think about your sales process, it always starts with client acquisition. So the first piece to that is attention. It's grabbing their attention, it's creating demand and desire, and then acquiring the customer, making the sale. So a lot of times your first sale will be a small item, be a small piece. A lot of times if you've got multiple things that you sell, you don't start off with the most expensive item. There's some people who will do that thinking I can always go down from here, but that's in a live presentation. That doesn't work so well in an online presentation. You're trying to reduce the barrier to entry. So if you come out with a high dollar item and all of a sudden you get rejected, it's game over. You can't recover like you can in person. if you get rejected in person, you can say, well, I just threw that out. That's our biggest item. Nobody starts there, and you can recover very, very easily. But this is a mouse trap you're building, and as soon as you spook the mouse, he's gone. So, and you don't have the ability to chase him. Other than retargeting, that kind of changed the game. You can retarget, you can still chase him, but now you got to reconvince him to come back into the mouse trap. If you've spooked him, you kind of screwed the pooch. So be very, very careful of that. Be very conscious of that you can make that mistake. So client acquisition, Perry Belcher calls it a tripwire. It's how can you take the big thing that you sell and splinter it to sell a little piece of it, to get them in, get them hooked, and then sell them more. You want to be careful of that, because I actually tried it, and maybe I just didn't get the concept right, which I think probably is the case in what I did. But I actually offended some people in the way I did that. And what it was, I created a marketing campaign to sell our Rainmaker product, which is an SEO, it's a SaaS, it's a service that they pay for monthly to increase their rankings. And what I did was I sold an educational webinar for $7. So I used that as my tripwire to get people to pay the $7 to go through the educational webinar. In the educational webinar, I delivered some incredible value. I delivered exactly what you would have to do to create all of this manually, and how you would do it, what steps you would take. I delivered the whole enchilada, and then at the end of it, I introduced the Rainmaker product and said, this does it all for you, way cheaper than you could ever do it yourself. I thought I had a good model, but it backfired on me. The people that paid $7, they saw it as a promotional piece. All they saw was they paid $7 to get my advertising, and they were pissed. So, I mean, to me, I didn't think I did anything wrong, but it doesn't matter what I think. It's the market, and always keep this in mind. How your market reacts is what's more important than how you feel about it. I thought I had created a great thing. I thought I had created a great educational piece. I thought I was golden, but it was more like a golden shower. I wound up getting peed all over on that one. But, and it's very disheartening when you hear customer feedback of people that are upset because they spent $7 on something that, I probably would have charged several $100s for that information. But since they saw it as just being, they paid for an advertisement and they were not happy about that, that's very disheartening when you get that kind of feedback. So, test everything, see how it works. If you get bad feedback, then don't take it personally, just change it up, take it as a lesson. It's like Thomas Edison, he found out, 1,000,001 ways not to make a light bulb. It's the same thing. I just found out a way not to market Rainmaker. So keep that in mind. But anyway, this really is, believe it or not, it's the fun part. It's the creative part. If you're not a creative person, you might not find it all that much fun. But I do. I like that. I like this particular piece of it. I don't necessarily like creating graphics and all that and making the pretty stuff, but I do find it. I think it's more the mental part, the psychology part, the thinking about it, building mousetraps. I kind of like that. And then, once you get the piece done and you have your delivery system, whatever that may be, then it's a matter of where are you going to place it? Where do you want to put the mousetrap? Obviously, you want to put the mousetrap on the fence the mice are traveling on. You don't want to put it on the far side of the house where the mice aren't. And I see that happen a lot in traffic. A lot of times people will go for traffic sources that is not where the market is. And that to me doesn't make sense. Always figure out, where your market lives, and again, back to what they're interested in. Know your market. Like if your market is millennials, and I know T2 is probably back there and listening, he can probably confirm this, that those millennials are not real happy about Facebook. They're not excited about Facebook. They're not hanging out on there. They're more on Snapchat and Instagram and the new stuff. That's where you'll find them. So if they're your target, if that's your base, you better show up and be fishing where the fish actually are. You don't want to be fishing in nice, clean, clear blue water with no fish in it. That's, all you're going to get there is a sunburn. So figure out where your market is. This also comes back to search. And I've fought this battle for the last 2 decades with SEO. In SEO, I can get your site to rank, but I can't get people to search for your keyword. That, I'm not that good. I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but that I can't pull off. You have to understand your market. This is back to the pyramid of awareness. Are they aware? And if they are, they're probably searching. If they're searching, then a great place to be is on the search engines. If they're not aware and they're not searching, that's the last place you want to be, is on the search engines, because they're not there. And you can easily figure that out with keyword research. If you do some keyword research, like an analysis, and you figure out, hey, nobody's searching for this, doesn't necessarily mean the audience doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that there's not a market there. It just means they're not aware. Doesn't mean that they wouldn't buy your product. You just have to figure out where they are, intercept them, and create an awareness campaign that activates them to their problem. Sometimes they don't even know they have a problem. They're experiencing the symptoms. They're suffering the pain, but they haven't really brought it to their awareness. It's like an alcoholic. They don't see themselves as an alcoholic until they're aware that they actually are. They can go years suffering and causing themselves all that pain, but because they're not aware that they are actually an alcoholic, they're not looking for the answer. So search doesn't work for that. Search only works if they're aware of their problem, whatever that may be, and they're actually looking for an answer. So if it's, let's say it's people, middle age, upper age, and they're unaware, Facebook's a phenomenal resource. That's a great place to target them. Back to the ones that are aware, YouTube is a great place, because if they're aware, and especially like here, back to the millennials, I think the millennials probably really like YouTube. I know I see my nephew on YouTube all the time hunting for answers for things. So he doesn't go to search. Even though he's aware and he's searching, he's not searching Google, he's searching YouTube. He wants a visual answer. So understanding that it comes down to traffic, of what traffic source is going to be right for you. They're all good. Any traffic source out there is good as long as it can bring you traffic. But you want to really make sure that you're focused on the right one for you and for your marketing campaign and for your market. Just like everything else, you might have multiple avatars and you might have multiple traffic sources for each one of them. And each one of them might need different traffic sources. They might need a different marketing message. So that's why it's really important that, when you create a marketing campaign, you're really focused in on one. All the way through the process. Focus on one at a time. And especially if you're just starting. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I can do multiple of these at a time because I can shift gears and I don't have a problem because I know all the pieces. But when you're just learning, it's very confusing. And also, it's biting off way more than you can chew. I always recommend that you run through at least the first couple of these that you create, do them one at a time. Be really focused, learn the process, and make sure that you get it right. So that's why the first lesson in ACT is figuring out which is the most profitable segment, so you can focus on that one first. But same thing, multiple sources of traffic, and again, always match the one to the right avatar. So, anybody questions? Anything about the creation piece here before we, or copywriting or technical, how to piece it together? Anybody stuck on any of that stuff? Either, Gwen's stuck on something.
I'm just stuck.
You're just stuck. Okay, I've been there. Sometimes I get stuck just for no good reason. It's just like I wake up one day and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do today? I get so many things to choose from. So, but yeah, I fully understand the stuck. I think probably the best way to get unstuck is just to kind of sit back and allow yourself some time to focus. Just kind of take a deep breath and say, what's the most logical thing for me to do next? And forget about everything else and just do that one thing.
Yeah, basically what I'm doing, I'm trying to work through the creation process.
Okay.
And I think I've got kind of the whole unique mechanism down. And what I'm looking at, and I'm stuck on what my big hook is.
Okay, the big idea.
Right. The idea, the hook to draw them in.
Yeah.
So I've got the emotions I'm tapping into. I've got kind of the primary promise. And I've got my unique mechanism. I'm just like, okay, what's the big hook that draws them in?
Yeah, the big idea. That's probably, it's as foundational as it is, it's probably one of the toughest things. And it's probably the thing that's going to trip the most people up. And it really, it's important that you get that big idea. If you look back at David Ogilvy is probably one of the most famous guys to ever be in the ad space. And one of the things that he said is a marketing campaign without a big idea is going to pass like a ship in the night. I mean, that's his famous saying. It's basically, it's going to come and go and it's not going to work. It's not going to last. So that big idea is really, it's the foundation, really. All the rest of the stuff is pieces. There's like the piece of figuring out what the emotion is, and that's a standalone piece. That's one of the pieces that's going to go into the framework. Your unique mechanism. A lot of people are going to have trouble with that too. Unique mechanism is kind of a new concept, but it's really important. I've seen it when I look back over advertising for the last couple hundred years. All the ones that really stand out, they all had a unique delivery mechanism. Like even the diamond ring. If you think about that, the engagement process, if you want it, and this is exactly how it read in the ad, if you want your love lasts forever, it should be represented by something that lasts forever. Diamonds are forever. I mean, before that ad campaign, a diamond ring wasn't even a thing. You got engaged and a diamond ring wasn't even part of your thought process. But because of that big idea changed history. It's like today, how many of you would even accept a marriage proposal if there wasn't a diamond ring involved? You know, that ad campaign screwed all of us guys. You know, and it was that big idea, and it lasted, you know, for decades. There's no change in sight. I don't ever see it ending. You know, that's when, if you get a big idea like that, that's something that's life changing. That's going to alter your business. That's going to alter everything for you. It's that important, and it's hard. It's not something easy. And another thing is, it's not something that you can really often come up with out of your head. This is something that not only David Ogilvy said, but many other major advertisers have said this. What's his name? Eugene Schwartz. Gene Schwartz or Eugene Schwartz. He was another, you know, big mastermind in advertising. And he said, you do research with a bulldozer. He said, you bulldoze up as much research as possible, because your big idea is always going to come out of the research. It always is going to come from the market. You know, like one of the big things was for women, they were worried. This was back in the 50s or the 40s, whenever it was, whenever that ad campaign came out. Unhappy marriages were a big problem. They weren't near as open as they are today. But that was one of the things that as a woman, you know, they're all stay-at-home women back then. It was stay-at-home moms. The women traditionally didn't work in that era. Not to say that's right. I'm not making any kind of judgments. I'm just pointing out the facts of the matter. Is that was the case. All the women were home. It was a neighborhood full of women that talked and gossiped. And that's just the way it was back then. You know, I remember back to my mom. You know, my mom stayed at home. My dad worked. She took care of the kids. And part of her daily routine was talking to the neighbor women. You know, that was just it. That was the way it was. And so the big idea came out of that. It came out of that market research of figuring out who their target market was. And one of the biggest fears was unhappy marriages and divorce. And it was almost like a taboo for that time frame. You know, divorce wasn't like it is today. Today it's like changing your socks. You know, we're no longer concerned with divorce. If the pin drops and something just minute happens, off they are, you know, divorce court. You know, marriage is not what it once was. But anyway, back to that time, that was a fear. You know, that was a fear, and that ad campaign really touched on that fear of, if you want your love to last forever, that's a big if statement. The answer obviously is yes. If I'm going to get married, I want it to be forever. And if that's the case and the man doesn't show up with a diamond ring, diamonds are forever. So if he doesn't have a diamond ring, that means this marriage isn't going to last. So what's your odds of saying yes to that? That's a big idea. That's strong. That's something that really changed history, was that one big idea. So that's what you're trying to do. That's what you're looking for, is what's the big idea for you that could really alter history. You know, that's our challenge, is to come up with something as good as that big idea of diamonds are forever. Yeah, so, and it's, I'm not going to say it's easy. I am sure they didn't just come up with that in 5 minutes. That was, again, that was something that came out of the market. Think about the psychology. I just kind of walked you through the little pieces that I know just from the observation of how it may have taken place. But it came from the market. It came from understanding the market and what are the concerns of these women. You know, how can we affect them? How can we create an ad campaign that is meaningful? And that one was incredibly meaningful, incredibly powerful, and look at how long it's lasted. That really holds up to David Ogilvy's thing about a ad campaign without a big idea passes like a ship in the night. That ad campaign did not pass like a ship in the night. That thing stuck like glue, and it's still stuck with us today. So that's the difference between having a big idea and not. Will it last the test of time? And that's what we want is an ad campaign. That's what we want. Kleenex, I don't remember. I'd have to do some research and see how Kleenex did it, how Xerox did it. But when you have a big idea that changes history, it changes things into a household name. Like Kleenex. That's a household name. There's 50 different manufacturers of products that resemble a Kleenex, but there's only one Kleenex. It's like Xerox. How many copy machines are there on the market? And they're all referred to as Xerox machines, even though they're not Xerox made. It's when you have a big idea, it can often become a household name. Like diamonds are forever. We hear that. We all know what that means. So that's...
So does that mean I need to just keep looking at the market and the competitors and the ads coming in and all that? Just kind of keep watching stuff and see what comes out?
One of the things that you can do is look at the competitors and see what their big ideas are, if they have any.
I didn't see a whole lot.
Yeah, sometimes you're not. And we just did a research project for a commercial client last week. Or actually, we'd been working on it for a month. I actually delivered the results last week. And they're in the audio-visual space. And we were trying to figure out, first of all, which segment of the market they should start with, because there's 50 different segments in audio-visual. And of the most profitable segment to start with, what were the advertisers doing? What were the competitors doing? What was the big idea? What was the unique mechanism? All that stuff. And what we found, we identified the most profitable part of the market. That wound up being the easiest thing. It happened to be digital signage. And then of the digital signage companies, when we did the competitive research, I was shocked with the size of these companies. They literally, their marketing was crap. They were doing all about me stuff. They weren't talking about anything about the customer and what the customer desired. It was all about the benefits. It was all about the company. It was like the weakest marketing I've ever seen in anything. So that was really good for my client because, we'll be able to kick butt on that market. But it's rough on me because it gives me no idea. It's like, I'm going to have to create this, all of it. And then I'll be the one that they're all following and copying and all that stuff. Which that's okay. I don't have a problem with that, but it's a lot more difficult to do it that way. If your market's unsophisticated and they're not giving you anything, you know what they say, it's lonely at the top, right? When you're the best one, that's the game that we're playing on that one for sure. But yeah, understanding, I think more about if you can't find it in the competitors, you really need to look back at the market research and figure out, of the primary driver, what's intellectually interesting that you could come up with about that, and what's impactful and meaningful. You're really trying to come up with a statement that taps into that. Like the diamonds are forever. They're taking a known thing and tying it to another known thing for the sake of, of reinforcing that. They know what they wanted. They wanted a marriage to last forever. So they created a symbol. What can be the symbol for that, that represents that? And what would the man have to do to show that his love is going to last forever? He's got to show up with a diamond. So that's how they did it. That's how that big idea came together. So if you can do that, and the diamond actually represented their product as well. So what you want to do is you want to have a representation of your product or your service that equates to their desired outcome. So that's kind of a formula or a recipe for a big idea. And you can get that right from the timeline. You know, you're looking at where they are, where they want to be, their desired outcome, how your service fits into that. So that can be the kind of the recipe or the way you come up with a big idea. And then the way that once you have a big idea, sometimes it's unbelievable. So that's where the unique mechanism comes in. You can shoot down the unbelievability of the promise by the unique mechanism. And you can say, our unique mechanism is the thing that's going to do the work to deliver that result. So that's how the pieces kind of fit together. So it's really cool. I mean, when you look at it and it's like a puzzle, it's really cool how it's a formula. And
Yeah,
you can
okay, that makes a lot more sense to look for the desired outcome and how to tie that in.
Yeah. And you know, along the way of that, when you have the desired outcome, also tie the desired outcome to the primary emotional driver. You know, figure out, is it fear? Is it greed? You know, is it vanity? What is it? You know, like if let's say you were selling like I actually did this one live on a webinar. Somebody came out and they said they sell these chandeliers, and their chandelier is 10 times the price of anything else. And, you know, how are they going to do it? You know, what's their big idea? What's their unique mechanism? What's their primary driver? And for that one, it was really clear. The primary driver was vanity. You know, it was one-upmanship. And basically I said, if I were in that situation, I would focus my big idea on the desired outcome of they want to be that thing where they're envied by the neighbors. You know, the reason that they would buy this is because it gives them bragging rights, which is pure vanity, and it also can give them a sense of having something to talk about. Because maybe they're uncomfortable in social situations and they need that thing that people want to talk to them about. So let's say you've got this fancy chandelier in your house and you've got a neighbor party and all the neighbors come over, and this is a focal point. This is a conversation piece. This gets people to want to talk to you, and it makes you the big shot. I mean, what more? And you're the only one in the block that's got it. No one else has something like this. So you're going to be the envy of all the neighbors. You're going to be the talk of the town. You're going to have that focus. Everybody's going to want to talk to you. You're going to be the center of attraction. That all keys into that vanity. So that's what you're looking for. That's the desired outcome. That's why someone would buy something like that, because that's what they want. They want to be the center of attention. They want to have something no one else has. They want to feel special. That makes them feel better about themselves. You know, as twisted as that may sound, that's a real thing. You know, you guys are probably thinking, yeah, well, I'm not that way. Well, it doesn't matter how we are. We have to figure out how the prospect is. And if that's the way they are, then that's better be the way we're talking to them. Otherwise, our marketing campaign is not going to work. So it really is important to understand, who they are and what's their desired outcome and why they would want this thing, because it really is all about them. Just that alone, if you've got a prospect that's got more money than sense and they don't feel good about themselves and they don't feel like they're the center of attraction and they really desire that and that's what they're hungry for, and that's how you present that, it doesn't matter how much it costs, they'll buy it because they want the desired outcome. They will throw a party just because they bought that chandelier so they can get that attention. That's why they'll buy it. They'll buy it so they can have the party. So if you plant that seed, maybe they were unaware, but you know their inner thoughts, and that wasn't something that like they're thinking about, but you've activated that thought now. You've actually altered their course, and it was there. You just accessed it. That's what the analysis and the research is all about, is figuring out who these people are and what their true hidden desires are. That's where, I made a list. If you go into the creation portion, I have a list of all those primary drivers and what the hidden thing, the thing they're not saying what it is, what it ties to. So that can help you a lot in figuring out, what is your big idea. Figuring out what the primary drivers are and what the underlying emotion is to that. So that'll kind of give you something to work with as far as that goes. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, I will go back and look, because I've pretty much got the feelings figured out. It's a lot of it's fear and looking at who they can trust. And not wanting to waste money. So I've kind of got we don't want to waste our time or your money.
Yeah. So you actually have two things there. You've got fear and greed.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out what of fear and greed, what's the primary? What's the one that's going to actually push the purchase? And I think with business owners, it's quite often the greed. They do have the fear, but it's not the primary purchasing driver. That is more the objection, not the primary driver. I think with most business owners, their primary driver, the reason they live, the reason they get up, is profit. And that really focuses on the greed factor. So I think as far as a primary driver, that's going to be greed. No matter how you slice it, nobody's going to say they're greedy, but that's the primary underlying emotion is greed. Now fear, you might find there is fear there. That emotion does exist in the purchasing process, but it's more objection based. They do have a fear of getting ripped off because maybe they have before, but that doesn't change their primary driver of why they get up in the morning. They still get up in the morning because they believe there's profit in the world. And that's their purpose in life, is to access that profit. So that is their desired outcome. So part of the process of creating the marketing campaign is identifying, what are the things, what are the stop blocks, what are the barriers to entry that's going to keep them from purchasing your product. That's where the fear comes in. The fear of not getting the desired outcome, putting out the money but then not getting what I paid for. That's an objection. And there's fear in that objection, so you address that objection based with the fear being the primary thing of that objection, not of the buying impulse.
Okay.
I don't think from a big idea, I don't think anybody is going to buy your service based on fear. Now, if you were selling insurance, then I would say, yeah, they're going to buy your thing based on the fear of loss if they don't have the insurance.
So probably more the competition and the greed then.
Yeah.
Most of these guys that I've ran into are very competitive.
Yeah. Yeah. Business owners are, there's no doubt. When you're hunting that animal, they're greed based. They are very competitive because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a certain amount of vanity to them. They feel like it all kind of falls in place, but I think greed is the primary driver. They all want to win. That's where the competition comes in, and that's also where the vanity comes in. They want to be
Right.
number one. They want to be recognized. They want to be in the spotlight. Even though a lot of them will say they don't, they remember it's the unspoken thing. That's what you have to address when you're creating that marketing campaign. You've got to really be speaking to their subconscious. Their conscious mind is where the fear is going to lie, and the fear is going to be to protect the self. The subconscious is the self. That's why our conscious exists, is to protect ourselves. It's our heart. The heart is what wants to make a purchase. It's the head that gets in the way. The head's the conscious. The heart is the subconscious. The heart desires what it desires. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now. If you get the head out of the way, the heart will buy in an instant. The heart will buy anything, as long as it thinks it's going to get what it wants, because that's all it knows. It's like a little kid. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now, and I know you get that. It doesn't want to wait. That's the heart. And for us, it's the head that tries to protect the heart. And that's why it says no. Because that's why, in the marketing, I say you've got to seduce the heart, but then you got to convince the head.
Yeah, I have that one written down.
Yeah, that's like, I love that statement. Seduce the heart and convince the head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're doing when you're overcoming objections. You're saying, okay, I know what the heart wants, but I also know why the head's going to say no. So that's where in the marketing campaign, we build the overcoming of the objections, and we should be able to identify those pretty easily. And that's where we come in with logic and reason, and the unique mechanism is awesome for that, because the unique mechanism is something they can logically say, oh, well, because you have that, now I believe I really can get the result. So, okay, heart, I believe we can get it, so I'm going to let you have it. And that's where the buying decision comes from. The heart is the desire. The head is always going to give you the buying decision. And it, by default, is going to say no. That's just the way we're programmed. We're intuitively programmed to protect the heart. And, in business, that makes total sense. A lot of people don't get it. It's human nature. It's not just business. That's why a lot of people have relationship issues. They don't trust. They won't get involved in a relationship because the head won't allow it. The head's trying to protect the heart. And it works across the board. It's human nature. It doesn't have to do with relationships or sex or business or anything. It's the foundation of us as human beings. No matter how you slice it, you've got the head and the heart. And it works the same in any conversation. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, that gives me some good ideas, though. Looking at the whole thing of the vanity and greed.
Yeah.
For the desired outcome. I think just changing my focus there is going to help. So
Okay.
thank you.
Awesome. Good deal. And all of this stuff, I mean, the more we talk about this stuff, the more I actually see there's formulas to all of it. It's all formulatic, or however you say that. Formulaic, whatever it may be. Anthony's over there thinking, this guy's a grammatical tard. You got anything to add to that one, Anthony?
No, grammatical tart probably.
I knew it. I used to, me and my brother, we used to do that back and forth whenever we would missay something or mispronounce something. We'd call each other grammatical tarts. I know that's not politically correct, but
Hey, you know, when you're among friends, you can say these things and do these things.
I guess it's okay as long as I'm referring to myself or my brother.
Well, so real quick, I want to, traffic-wise. So what I put together, guys, for the group is I've mapped out and wrote out a curriculum for what I call Facebook Ads Essentials, and it's basically small steps of setting up the ad account, finding the page, so all these different pieces. So I wrote it out, and I was going to put it together and have some preview videos for you guys to look at, get your feedback. But I got sidetracked with something that happened yesterday. And so I switched gears and went on this thing, and I kind of want to share it with you guys, and I want to get John's eyes on it to see. And I want everybody to look at this and think how and if they can use it in your particular business. And John, you can kind of look at it and see how possibly it can be used potentially. You know, all year I've been talking about the Facebook Messenger bot, and it does match. It is a traffic source. It's a way you can drive traffic to your site. And it is a way you can actually get leads to it. And there's actually a way to automate it. So I want to educate you guys on that. But what came out just yesterday, it's been beta tested by Facebook, and it just hit out. They've created now, Facebook has created a widget. The code, they've given you the code to put the messenger chat on your site itself. So now people that hit your site can interact right from your site, and it will go right into your messenger chat on Facebook, and it will keep the conversation. Then when they go hit Facebook, it can pick it up from it, and you guys can pick it up and get it from there too. At the same time, respond to them. So from my perspective, it's a great way to build. If you're doing customer service type of stuff, you can get people to, you know, you can help them out. You got a problem, ask a question, and I'll answer it, that type of thing. The other thing, one of the other ways you really can do this is anybody that connects with you on Messenger, you can come back and you can send them a message, either a private message or you can do a broadcast message to everybody that you connect with. So it's a marketing opportunity for people that have connected with you. So one of the things, John, that this ties in that I like is with you doing the SEO for people, and people have a natural traffic and a lot of traffic, you now bring those people in from that angle, coming to you and connecting with you, and now there's another way to reach out and get them. And the difference in this between like mini chat and tiny chat, there's no cost involved with this. Facebook is giving you this free and providing you this free. Some of the other chat programs that connect to Facebook's chat messenger, they got a monthly subscription or something like that on that. So this is pure Facebook giving you something that you can use and do. So I'm going to quickly, guys, share my screen with you guys so you can see what happened was Thomas got on it yesterday and spent quite a few hours, and he put it on there. And I don't know if you guys can see on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Can you see that? Someone shake their head.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, it's a little thing that says, you know, hi, we're here to answer any questions and chat, and it's got our logo. So that's Facebook. And what happens is this blue dot lightning bolt, the people that know Facebook chat, they recognize that. So that's what it puts on your site. You click on that, it open up the chat window. If I was logged in and I am not logged in on Facebook, it would actually I would be able to have that dialogue right away immediately. I'd be like, hey, you know, Digital Studio, I want to know about this, or what services do you offer, or whatever, you know, whatever you want to do. And now if your Facebook's connected, you'll be able to come in and answer, hey, got your message. Let me tell you about my services, whatever. You can start that conversation dialogue, and this comes straight from your Facebook, your website, versus them being actually on Facebook. But they can pick it up and continue it. So I kind of wanted you to look at it, John, and say, oh, Thomas is telling me I should log in so you guys can see it in action.
So is that just like a little HTML widget code that you drop on your site from Facebook?
It's actually Java. It's not a widget at all. It's Java. So And we actually are going to do a video, and we actually wrote an article here because we're trying to be speedy to the market. So we wrote an article step by step of how you actually can do it. But later today, T2 did that. I'm going to actually walk through these steps and create the video to see if I can actually match up to it. But let me move this over a little bit. Here was me talking to myself. You know, I got on there and I said, let me speak to Anthony. And he was on the other side, and, you know, he got back. So we were having a conversation. He was on his actual phone on Facebook, and I was on the site, you know, pretending to be a customer and stuff like that. So I'm I'm throwing this at you, John, to say, how can people use this in business to utilize it? Knowing that there's a back-end piece that you can do some automation, and you can use the automation to segment people. So like, for an example, you can set up to say, are you looking for, you know, web development or SEO? And depending which answer they answer, you can take them down that path. Okay, I want SEO. Are you looking for, you know, a local, national, and you can. So we haven't quite gotten to the automation piece. I don't want to give you guys more than that, but this is where I would take it at the end result, is let this thing pre-qualify your leads for you. And at some point, you're going to get down in the conversation, say, okay, we know what you want. I'm going to have an agent call you, or one of the representatives call you, or contact you, or something like that. But that was all inside of Facebook. This is now on your website, literally just a piece of the site.
But it's Facebook in the background that's running it.
Oh, this is pure Facebook. And if let me bring up my Facebook page, you'll see it'll actually pick up the conversation. It'll tell me up here. Facebook slow as forever, but and this just came out yesterday. So now this is that same conversation inside of Facebook.
Okay.
So you start it on there, but you can pick it up and keep going back and forth with it, and it looks, again, it matches Facebook, gives you all the little icons and all that good stuff you can pick up with. So you don't lose this person that came to your site. Now you can kind of, and again, now that I'm inside of the bucket, I could say, okay, from my DSM web Facebook page, I can send the ad out to everybody that I've connected to on Facebook Messenger for free. So that's the other thing. So it's a free process. And you guys have seen it. Whenever you see a post and someone says comment yes or something like that, what they're trying to do is they're moving you into this bucket. They're trying to get you to connect with their messenger, and they're going to come back if they know what they're doing and send you a marketing message. And you've opted in. And now I'm just showing you that you can do this off of your website too.
Okay.
You got it set up where it's on every page. So as you go through different pages, it pops up, or it should. And it'll pop up the icon.
Yeah.
And you can kind of, we can set it so it comes up minimize, or you can leave it like this. And then when you bring it up on mobile, it starts minimize automatically.
Yeah.
So this is brand new, guys. It just hit Facebook, came out yesterday. People are just now talking about it. We're trying to be the leaders and be money loves speed, and get the message out there quickly and ahead of the curve. But I wanted you guys to see and be aware of it, and kind of get John's brain thinking of people he has and different people that you can now take this to and potentially, say, here's something. How can we use it? How can we make it worthwhile?
So if I get this right, let's say that's on the bottom of my site. Somebody comes from Google, lands on the site, clicks on that, and now I'm connected to them in Messenger.
Yep.
Without them even being a Facebook friend.
Yep.
Okay, so Messenger operates outside of Facebook friends.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no, that's, I see a lot of the guys that are doing that kind of stuff. I think they're using something called Chatmatic to do it. But it's really cool that you can get it right through Facebook now and put it on your site directly.
Correct, yep. And again, Chatmatic and those services, they charge, and I don't know what they charge them, and most of them are minimal. But if you're starting out and not sure where to go or what to do with this might be a way to play with it and test it, because there's no cost to you to sit here and say, okay, let me put it on there. Let me see what kind of questions I'm getting, what kind of response I'm getting, and try
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. I think everybody should probably do that.
And Facebook's supporting the bot side of like they're open to adding mini chat to integrating with it and everything. They're completely kosher with it.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people like the idea of chat. They just don't know how to make it work. And the fact that it's on Facebook and it goes right to your phone, you know, you'd see if somebody wanted to chat with you instantly wherever you were. So I think that's awesome.
It gives you that quick, you know, and we know, especially depending on, like you said, someone made you a buy signal. I'm interested in your service, you know, how much, or some kind of question like that, depending what page they land on. Now you can answer kind of fast and you know, get them some stuff, you know, and it's a hot lead in theory. You can use it to get a hot lead. Like I say, if we do the automation piece, and that's going to be our next step, is to write the automation side of it. I'm going to have them pre-qualify you. You know, what services you came here? What are you interested in? Okay, I'm interested in this. What, you know, what's this? What's this? Get to your budget. Get all these questions pre-answered before I have to talk to somebody. And then if they, based on where they've put themselves at, I can say, okay, we'll talk to you, or you need to go over here and get some more, you know, education because you're not quite ready for us. So it's a way of filtering and segmenting.
Yeah, yeah, that's you know, the other thing too, be really important to put that on marketing pages, like not just on your website necessarily, but on your ordering pages, because Todd Brown, you know, he did that big E5 launch, and he said they got, I think he said 30 something % more sales because they had a chat on the order page. You know, right there when they were ready to put their credit card information in, he said they got 34% more conversion because they could answer a quick question right before somebody made that last buying decision.
And I can see that, and this will work on ClickFunnels because it's basically code. So anywhere you can put code in the back end of something, it will function in there. So I could see that, because again, I get to the order page on different things. I got one, you know, question about shipping or question about return policy. A small one, quick question, but it stops you for a second. And to be able to jump in chat, get the question, and get an answer pretty quickly will.
Yeah.
Also snip away messages and stuff too. So if it's outside your business hours, it'll auto respond.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with you guys and let you guys know that that's something that's out there now and available, and it's brand new, you know. So anybody that goes with it, like, so we're going to create a video, and on our site we got the instructions, so if anyone wants to tackle it that way, we'll be leading the pack and ahead of a lot of people. And we want some feedback, guys, you know, on the steps. So if anybody goes and tackles the steps, and again, because this is something, John, we want to give to the group. Obviously, it's a traffic source, it's a lead source, and again, it's what the certain market people are using this. You know, certain, you know, avatars. This is what they're going to want to do and want to use. So I wanted to show you guys that and get some eyes on that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then the other, let's see, so I got the essentials I'm going to get you guys. And again, this is something I want your feedback, you guys' feedback on when you see it and go through it. Like if there's a piece missing, a step not there, something like that. It's just really going to be down and dirty, you know, 3 minutes, and get you right to getting something. So here's where you click to set up your page. Here's the pieces you need to set up. It's not going to be great, a lot of explanation. It's almost a quick start guide is what it's going to be, but it's going to be the essential steps you need to do and have going on. So that's a piece that I was going to do all that yesterday. I got to playing around with this chatting thing. So that's why I said I got shiny object syndrome. Another example of some things too. We're working with a client now, and because he was getting a lot of SEO traffic via John, as soon as we popped on the Facebook pixel on his site, we were able to, again, build an audience of people that have hit his site. So, again, I'm going to emphasize getting that on there. And if you guys do an SEO or getting SEO traffic, or like Glenn or you and Rustin's case, if you guys got clients that you're doing SEO for, with that pixel on the site, you can make an audience of visitors to the site from the Facebook pixel. And again, then you want to test them and stuff like that, but it gives you another audience. And one of the strategies we use with that particular audience that comes off of somebody's site is we're making assumptions, if you will, but we're saying they must have did a search and they got to your site, especially if this SEO traffic from John. They hit a keyword, they hit the site, and they're there for a reason. But they didn't take the desired action. They didn't buy, they didn't purchase, they didn't sign up. So we're sending back, we're putting them specifically in a retargeting campaign. And the campaign we're doing that's the retargeting is, I got to think of a better name for it, but it's a testimonial campaign. And what we're doing is we're taking, live testimonials from the client, and we're putting those into the ad. So now think of it this way. I went to your site, I saw stuff, but I wasn't quite convinced. Now, as I'm traveling the internet, I'm getting retargeted by ads, and the ads are people talking about how good you are, what you've done for them. So it's a campaign that we like to put in place, and it's a $5 a day campaign. It's not a high dollar campaign, but it's one that which you're retargeting people that already are aware of you, and you're just using third-party verification, that social proof, that testimonials, and at $5, so you're not spending a lot of money on it. Your chance of picking one or two more clients per month increases, because that may be the step that pushes them over the edge. That little testimonial from somebody that says they're good, they did this, they paid attention to details, they fixed this and my stuff like that. So that's a small strategy that you can utilize using the Facebook pixel, using traffic to somebody's site, and using client testimonials. So I wanted to share that with you guys also too. Any questions?
It's like good stuff.
Anybody there? Everybody's all quiet. I'm like, okay, was I off the mark?
Oh no, don't feel bad. They're usually shy.
Anthony, do you have the one page, the article kind of already out on the Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, let me put it in the chat here.
I'm thinking I might send that to one of my clients.
Let me put it in the group here.
Or is that something we could like blow out on like a blog or a Facebook?
You can rewrite it and put it on a blog and stuff.
I don't mind sharing your stuff.
Yeah, my thoughts were, again, because we yesterday we spent time researching. Nobody's talking about it, so it's like it's kind of, and they've been doing it. Facebook tends to test stuff internally, and then when they like it, they roll it out piece by piece by piece. So we kind of got an early rollout, and we're like, okay, we'll jump ahead of everybody and shout about this, and just bring new eyes to it. So I put the link in there for it, guys. We are planning on making a video later today where, like I said, I'm going to go through the steps. But I would love you to go through these and see how they, if there's a piece missing or stuff. There's some things you got to sign up for, like the Facebook SDK and some on the developer side, and a few little steps like that are in there. But we would love to get some feedback on, if there's an element missing or something.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody got anything else before we wrap up for today? Well, great stuff there, Mr. Anthony.
Thank you guys for listening to me.
I didn't mean to chew up the majority of the front of the call there, but I got on a roll.
No, it was good. You helped Gwen, and that was good. And I know Cheryl's ready for traffic, and she always has questions. So I'm sure when she's ready, she'll bring the questions to me. All
right. Yeah, she's probably gonna eat you alive in December. There, should be ready to go.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. That's my goal. By the end of the year, I'm gonna have this puppy ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on too. So I'm right there, right behind you, right beside you.
When do you think you'll do the mastermind idea? In January, John, or?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Kind of, I think with everybody's schedule, December will probably be pretty tough. But come the first of the year, yeah, I'm going to be very open to doing that kind of stuff. So I don't mind doing it in December if if it works for you guys, but I just think there's be a lot of scheduling issues with that.
Maybe I'll just try to hook up with you once I'm almost done. And I've got the usual website, like how you do ClickFunnels, landing pages, lead pages, all of that stuff still baffles me. So
Okay.
I think that if I can get a rough draft going with it, then I'll just have you and Anthony kind of be like, all right, Cheryl,
Yeah.
This doesn't look good, or
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
Just let us know when you're ready, and we'll get behind you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Gwen, are you still doing stuff for realtors? No? Okay.
Not at the moment. I had one show interest and then she kind of just dropped off. I haven't chased her particularly.
Okay. We should have relatively soon some funnel templates for realtors. We've been doing some testing of our own, and we got another person that we got some stuff put together for. So we should have some templates and type of stuff for realtors that you can, kind of pick up and run with, that type of thing.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I've got one that was kind of interested. She just hadn't committed to anything. She's actually looking at moving out of the area next year and starting fresh in a new area. So she may be hungry.
All right. Well, that's all I had, guys. I'm good for the rest.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
We'll wrap up today. I just tested your chat box there. I sent you a message.
T2's got, here's the funny thing. I don't have Facebook on my phone. I refuse to do that. I can't. I'd actually explained to my wife the other day. She asked me a question on Facebook. I said, I am not a Facebook expert. I'm a Facebook ads expert, very specifically. So he's the one that's got to answer that.
Yeah, that's like everybody thinks I'm a computer. I can fix their computers. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a computer tech.
Exactly. We use them, but that's all they do.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up for this week, and everybody have a great time here going into the holiday season. But keep your eye on the ball. Let's not lose track, lose focus.
Right.
And finish
Hey,
strong.
John, do you have a minute once we're finished?
Sure. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording here.